Hello everyone, I'm Alison from the Dolphin's Way, and I'm here in Bali, near Ubud, and in the birth center Bumi Seha, with the founder Robin Lim, and she's internationally known for her extensive work for lotus birth and gentle birth, and many books, particularly the placenta, the forgotten chakra. And I have been in this field for more than 10 years now, and I have always heard about your work. And yeah, I've been to many international conferences, although I didn't get to meet you personally, but finally I came to Bali and I get this chance to be here sitting with you in your beautiful birth center. And now, yeah, we are very happy. And this is her big award of Hero of the Year, CNN in 2011. And so, yeah, I just always look up to your work and your contribution to humanity, especially like when I give talks, I always use your quote about the birth as a woman's most profound initiation to spirituality. And yeah, I feel like every mother who has experienced birth in this sacred way understand this. But when we want to go out and tell you like such a journey and an initiation for you, it's hard for people to understand. So yeah, can I
Yes.
have your
Hi,
wisdom
Alison.
to explain more to people how that journey unfolds for women, that initiation?
Well, for every woman, it's quite different. And it's also something similar. You know, every woman is unique and special in her own way, and every baby. Even if you have many babies, each pregnancy, each birth will be unique. But for the spiritual initiation, it's just quite profound. And the way we can support it is by supporting the mother to have the most respectful care in pregnancy, in childbirth, and postpartum, and supportive breastfeeding. So mothers need to be honored. We need to believe in the mothers. You know, if one person says, "I believe in you," you feel strong. It's birth is it's big, it's challenging, it's a lot of work for the mother. She's thinking about it a lot, preparing for it. Some mothers don't have the luxury of preparing because they're very poor and maybe they're working and they have no time. But those of us who are in the field of childbirth, we can really support mothers by believing in them and to remind them that I believe in you. We had a beautiful birth with our own doctor here, one of our doctors on the Bumisat staff, Dr. Dayu. And 5 years ago, she gave birth by cesarean, a belly birth. And it was very traumatic for her because she didn't imagine that that would be what happened to her. But she was convinced by other doctors that she must induce the labor at 41 weeks. And we know that when a labor is induced, when a mother's labor is induced, sometimes the baby will go into distress, quite often. And so her baby went into distress, and so it was immediate. It went from her being in a nice labor, very challenging because the induced labor with the Pitocin IV drip is very much more painful. But she was coping well, but then suddenly, boom, baby in distress, she's in the operating room. And then she didn't see her baby because nobody at that hospital was making sure the baby stayed with her skin to skin. Her husband didn't see the baby for many hours. Her husband was separated from her. He was traumatized too. But when she was pregnant, she felt safe here at Bumisehat with her colleagues because she's one of our doctors. And when she was working, she just was so happy to be here. And then when she was 41 weeks, which is they induced her at 41 weeks, she was 41 weeks. And I said to her, "Oh, you're still at work?" And she says, "Yes, I want to stay here because I feel safe here. And I don't hear the doctors and my mother-in-law and family and friends saying, 'Why aren't you inducing?' At Bumisehat, everybody cares for me and they believe in my process. And she said, please tell me what to do. And I said, I'm not telling you what to do. You're a brilliant woman, and I believe in you. And she said, you believe in me? And I said, of course I believe in you. And she said, oh my goodness, nobody says I believe in you. And I said, but I know that you know what's best for your baby and your body and yourself. So wherever you give birth, whatever you decide, I'm going to hold your hand because I believe in you. And then that night, she began labor. 4 hours and 40 minutes later, lagi sebentar. 4 hours and 40 minutes later, she was holding her baby. And her husband was crying. He was saying, nobody understands how profound and beautiful this is. Our own doctor, she had vaginal birth after cesarean, gentle birth, respectful birth. She didn't cut the cord right away. She waited till next day, 30 hours. And for her, it was such a healing experience, and for her husband. And the next day, her mother, Dr. Dayu's mother, brought their son, the 5-year-old boy who was born by cesarean birth. And when he came in the room, he saw his baby sister, he saw his mom, skin to skin, breastfeeding, the placenta still attached. And he immediately started to cry. And he said, I want to be born at Bumisera. And so the mother gave the baby and the placenta to the daddy, to her husband. She took her son in her arms and she said, we will stay here together, skin to skin, and you can be born again in Bumisera today. It was so beautiful. And he got immediately a high fever, so high. And they stayed for 5 days at Bumisera until he was ready to go home. Not the new baby, perfectly healthy, didn't need to stay 5 days. Not the mom. She's experienced mom. She's breastfeeding very, very well, both her children. It was for the first baby who had trauma and from separation from mom. You know, a cesarean birth, a belly birth can be gentle and it can save lives. But not when the baby is separated from the mom. We have to keep the baby with the mother and the family. And so he had a healing experience, but he took his time, 5 days, staying here with his mom, his dad, and his baby sister. It was so beautiful.
Thank you so much for this beautiful story. Really brings tears to my eyes. And it's so touching.
We can really learn as women. We learn from each other, from our stories.
I feel, yeah, that's how we tell. Like, yeah, when I work in Taiwan, it's a very mental. Like, everyone wants to understand. Probably in the West too. Like, how do you prove this is really an initiation to spirituality? How do you prove that? And then I always burn my head, like trying to find ways to convince people, but actually just by stories.
But also, for the mother, so many times the mothers here, they come to the childbirth preparation class. They spend time with their midwives. We have doulas. And afterwards, they say, I really believe that it would be spiritual for me, but I didn't understand until I went through the experience. And I gave birth to my baby, and I looked at my baby, and I held my baby. Again, even those of you mothers that had a belly birth, still, it's a spiritual awakening. It is a miracle. Do not feel bad that you had a cesarean birth. You still had your baby. You went through such a difficult process to give your baby the most beautiful landing on earth, the safest way that you could, with the caregivers and the information you had. So please do not feel bad. I want all of the cesarean mothers in the world to feel good about their sacrifice and their courage for doing whatever was needed to help their baby to come to this earth.
Yeah, I now have a lot of clients. They have the first cesarean birth, and then they feel they failed, and
but they didn't.
Yeah, it's really hard for them to find a way back to preparing for VBAC, because sometimes doctors discourage them, and
Yes, they do.
and finding that support is really, really hard. And
The first step, I believe, in healing the wound from cesarean, from the deep cut of cesarean, is to say to the mother, thank you, I love you.
I really feel so much love. This is so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like for VBAC, how do you feel like if they want to prepare for a VBAC, and what advice and how can they navigate their way back to a more gentle?
The best preparation for a vaginal birth after cesarean is breastfeed your baby. Because the oxytocin receptors from breastfeeding, oxytocin is monogamous with her receptors. So when you breastfeed your baby, you make so much oxytocin, and your capacity to love will grow and grow and grow. So when your labor begins with your next baby, your oxytocin will function so beautifully. Yeah. Breastfeed your baby. That's the number one thing. Hands and knees, things like that, helping your baby move down to a really good position. All of that is really good. All of our doula skills and our gentle childbirth skills, hands and knees in labor. But finding the care providers, the midwives and the doula who believes in you. If you have a doctor, find a doctor who believes in you and your natural process. And that is the best way. And also, if you have another belly birth, cesarean birth, please don't feel bad. You know, just believe in yourself. And let me say again, thank you. Thank you for doing your best for your baby.